to episode 15 of our third series on the surnames and early families of Appalachia and the good old American South. On today's episode, we'll delve into the origins of a line of U.S. presidents, including their DNA. If you're new to the channel, I mix in a bit of history, genealogy, and trivia along with the origin and meaning of requested surnames. To enrich the channel going forward, I'm going to provide the Y chromosome details when I can locate them. My main goal in the series is to identify families that have been in Appalachia and the southern United States since before the Civil War, aka the antebellum period. You might ask, why is that the case, Van? Well, it's because if your ancestors arrived in the last, let's say, 100 years or so, you're probably going to know where they came from and what it was all about. This is for people, mostly who don't know what their ancestors' origins were, hence the antebellum period. Now, all but one of today's families date back to colonial times. This series is dedicated to the memories of those who gave us life and freedom. Speaking of freedom, if you'd like a free copy of the surname catalog that lists the names and episodes that have been covered thus far, stick around to the end to find out how you can get one. It's just an email away. Promises to be an informative show, so I hope you'll join me. Number 1, Bab or Babs. This is a Middle English family name that started off as a pet form of the feminine name Barbara. In that regard, Bab is unusual in switching the gender of the named person. By adding an S to the end of Bab, we have the son of Babs. In some cases, the German name Bob has been changed to Bab, but not in all cases, and probably not likely here in the South. What's that? No, there's no truth to the rumor that Barbara's original last name was Mulvaney, Jenner, or Kardashian. But Barbara must have been a pretty significant woman in the eyes of the community. One of the earliest lines of Bab that I could find in the South began its life in London, England in 1634 with the birth of Philip Babb II. Philip purchased a one-way ticket to New England. He died in York County, Maine in 1671. His son Thomas moved south to Newcastle, Delaware, where he died in 1750 at the tender age of 86. Given that life expectancy was in the mid-30s at the time, he must have been a pretty tough and resilient fellow. Thomas Jr., who was born in 1697, died in 1760, didn't hang around the colony that would become famous for producing the Biden family. He moved to Frederick County, Virginia. His son Joseph, born in 1737, died in 1785, apparently wanted more summer heat and humidity, so he loaded up his wagon and relocated to Lawrence County, South Carolina. Before he left Virginia, though, he married Mary McCool, and together they had 15 youngins. I think it's safe to say that the South's Bab folk are part of an antebellum family with English and, in the case of Mary McCool, Irish roots. The largest Y chromosome cluster of men named Bab that I found is RM512, also known as RM198. There are at least 4 other haplogroups with patriarchs named Bab, and one is EM2, which leads to Africa. Number 2, Adams or Adam's son. Unless you just arrived on planet Earth or relocated out of Portland, Oregon, you most likely know that Adam is a biblical name, and Adams means the son of Adam. In Hebrew, it means red earth or man. Edward McGlysick does well to describe the Irish name as English in origin, but it's been in Ireland for several hundred years. Adams and Adam's son have been in Scotland since the days of Robert the Bruce. That's back in the 13th century. When Duncan MacAdam, not McAdam, but when Duncan Adam became a father, then it became Adams in Scotland, or Adam's son. Most of us know that the second president of the United States was John Adams. He was born in Braintree, Massachusetts in 1735. Aside from being a founder of the United States and the father of John Quincy Adams, the 6th president of the United States, he was a colleague and longtime friend and rival of the 3rd president, Thomas Jefferson. Here's a fascinating bit of trivia for you. Adams and Jefferson died on the same day, July 4th, 1826. Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still survives." He was wrong, though. Jefferson had died about 5 hours earlier in the morning. One of the first lines of Adams that I could find occurred with the birth of William Adams. He was born on a crisp, cool day in November 1734 in Pennsylvania. And like Daniel Boone's family, he moved south to North Carolina. Before he left Pennsylvania, though, he married Susanna Martin in 1754. Like the first Babbs family, they were fertile producers of children. Traces back to the 1620s and the Plymouth colony, and then on to England. As one might expect from a biblical name, there are more than a dozen major haplogroups that have Adams patriarchs. But John Adams and other men from the South often carry RDF13 or RM269 haplogroup. Numbers 3 and 4, Jesse, and Jessamine. There can be little doubt that most of our ancestors were Bible-believing Christians, and despite the infamous, dare I say, sinful exploits of Jesse James, Jesse first appears as the father of the biblical king David. Jesse is hence a Hebrew name that originally meant wealth. It's not found among the traditional names of Ireland, but it is found in Northern Ireland or Ulster and Scotland. It's not a shortened version of the Scottish name Jasmine. I'll get it straight in just a second. Jasmine, which was probably a name given to a bloke from Jasmond, a place near Newcastle upon Tyne in southeastern Scotland. It's also a different name to the German family Jesper. One of the first Jesse lines in the South was founded by the parents of William Morgan Jesse, who was born in 1798 in 1857, and was hence the line or the family that's not colonial in origin here, but certainly in the 1700s. That's going back pretty far. He was born in Cumberland County, Virginia. He married Mary Ann Parker, and together they had 7 young'uns. William and Mary Ann moved with a few of their children to Missouri, and at least one of their kids settled in Benton, Arkansas, where he lived out his life. I wasn't able to locate any DNA information on the family, but the South's Jesse line is definitely antebellum. I'm not confident about declaring a country of origin, though. It could be Scotland, England, or Ulster, Northern Ireland. Number 5, Waltrip, Waldrip, Waldrop, or Waldroop. When I received this request, I immediately thought of a fellow from Owensboro, Kentucky named Darrell Waltrip. He's one of the winningest drivers in NASCAR. Now, I'm not particularly a NASCAR fan, but since these races started in the South and have an early connection to running moonshine, which occupied a lot of my maternal family's time, I can tell you that for sure, I knew a few things about it, including recognizing some of its legendary drivers, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and good old Darrell Waltrip, whose surname has roots among the Normans. Now, you might recall that by the middle of the 12th century, Norman families made up most of the landed aristocracy in England and lowland Scotland. Waldrop was a name given to a person who managed the wardrobe of a Norman noble. Darrell Waltrip's Kentucky family most likely entered the South with the birth of Joseph Waldrop, who was born to unknown parents in Virginia in 1716. His grandson, who was also named Joseph, was most likely the first Waltrip to reside in Kentucky. Born in 1776, when America became an independent country, died in 1822. He and Henrietta Pryor married and had at least 3 sons, John, William, and Maston. At the end of the day, I'm confident that Waltrip is an antebellum family with roots in England or Scotland. Unfortunately, I couldn't locate any information on their DNA. Number 6, Timmans or Timmans. When I received this request, I had to admit to myself that I've never met a person named Timmans in my life, but I was familiar with the name. It brought to mind the funny and unforgettable mule driver in Kevin Costner's 1990 Western Dances with Wolves. Timmans was actually played by Robert Pastorelli, who sadly passed away in 2004 from a drug overdose at the age of 49. The surname Timmans is a form of 2 Irish names, these names right here, that basically mean they're the diminutives of the name Thomas. In terms of where the Southern family originated, I have to take issue with a claim that the family in South Carolina was of French Huguenot origin. I think that some folks believe that claim because John Calvin Timmans, who was born in Virginia around 1740. Now, John Calvin, or Jean Calvin, was a Protestant reformer from France. At any rate, J.C. Timmans moved to Marion, South Carolina, where he passed away in 1829 at the ancient age of 89. The best evidence suggests that he actually descended from an Irishman named Thomas Timmans, who was born around 1650, died in 1704, thereabouts. I'm nearly convinced that this antebellum family originated in Ireland. That conclusion is reinforced by Y chromosomes of men named Timmans. Although it looks like there are at least 7 lines of descent from men named Timmans, all of them are either M269 or the subclade, or a subclade like RDF23 and M222. I'm a subclade person of DF23 myself. Anyway, those are well represented in Ireland and other Celtic lands. Well, folks, that's about all I have for you today. I hope you got something meaningful out of the discussion and will join me again here on The Vantage Point. If you'd like a free copy of the list of names and episodes that we've covered thus far, write to me at vantagepoint22@gmail.com and I'll send it to you ASAP. Until we meet again, God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.